Hey Ken here, just a quick update. Firstly on the seal, the update is there's no update. DVS, although they gave the impression they were back last week, I contacted and didn't get a response, so they don't seem to be back until next week. It's Sunday today, so it'll be tomorrow I'd say before I hear from them. But I did notice doing my clean, there was a lot of leaves stuck around the seal getting through, so it is fairly knackered, I think. Also noticing a bit, and there was more yesterday's bit of blanket weed strings. I'll just keep an eye on that, although the pond seems okay. And you can see down there, I don't know if I can, but you can maybe see there on the seal, I don't know, there is a hole in it. Sorry, just drying the lens on my phone. The other thing I did, and I noticed, this biochamber is supposed to hold, and what DVS recommend is Helix media, the Oasi media. It holds 150 litres. Now what I did was, initially I bought 150 litres, then I bought another 100 litres, and I didn't use the fifth bag, but I did have 200 litres. And what I did notice, I put this stuff in, you'll notice it's much bigger than K1, or it's much bigger than Helix, and it's hard to move. When I had 200 litres in there, I had to switch from the small pump to the big pump because it wasn't moving. I've noticed as well two things. One is when the water level drops, the media sticks to the side and gathers up around here. The other thing I've noticed, if you see the grills down there, the media was gathering, like that whole area was stuffed with media. And I think what that's there for is when the water level drops, that the media can sort of go into it, but it should come back out again. So I think I had a lot of stagnant media as well. So this may shock you a bit, but what I've done, and there's Tarzan having a look, I've removed, now that's not even 50 litres there, I'd say. I know that the bags were quite big. So there probably is still more than 150 litres in there, but I removed all that yesterday. And I'd say there might be about 40 litres in there. Now you'll probably say that's a bit drastic. There's still a lot of media in there. It's moving a lot better now. I don't have the media sticking around when the water level drops, and I don't have this constant media just sitting in that space down there and not moving at all. So I just want to see what impact that's having on my levels. Is the media going to mature a bit? It'll probably certainly help the water to flow through the filter, I think, as well. But I've sort of gone back to what DVS recommends. Still thinking whether this media is the right choice. I mean, it shouldn't make an awful lot of difference as to the shape of the media, to be honest. But anyway, I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll check the levels probably tomorrow. I wouldn't expect them to change drastically, especially I think most of my biological filtration is happening in the trickle tower, but I will check it tomorrow after a couple of days of feeding and see what it's like. But that's the main thing. The water quality, it's still okay, given the fact of a hole in the ceiling. It's not really doing its job. Like the drum is still operating as a drum. The water level still drops. You know, it still flushes. As you can see, there's still debris there. The pond water could be clearer, but it's not bad. I'll just pop out to the pond for a second. It's absolutely glorious here in Dublin today. Yesterday and today were really nice, given the fact we had a fairly terrible August, as I think was experienced by most of us. But the fishies are all, there's a bit of flashing going on, I noticed in the evening, but nothing certainly as bad as when I had the white spot and the problems before that. So they're all looking grand, and the jag, that's sort of my canary in a coal mine, tends to go downhill fairly quickly. The last time, I think the white spot definitely impacted him the worst, and he's the easiest to scrape as well, because chags by their nature tend to be fairly tame. I also had one of these guys, I think it's that fella there, the Kohaku, no, it's the orange one. You could just see on one side, I noticed he was a lot of mucus and there was a couple of ulcers. I had to take him out and sedate him and treat him, but thankfully he's come around. I don't know what the hell he was doing. I think he was mixing it with the goldfish when they do tend to do a bit of spawning activity now and again, or he got in the way of one of the bigger fish when they were feeding. But he came off the worst of it, but he has recovered. You can see the water clarity, it's a bit of reflection there, but you can see the bottom of the pond, so it's not too bad. My lilies, yeah, did the water change? There's one still there, but I had a couple flower during the week, but they only seem to flower for a day or two, and then they disappear again. There's one there might do something. Again, the flowers are from the ones in the front, these ones in the back don't do much. I will swap them out for next season. But that's about it. I'll let you know how the media goes, but I think definitely I've had too much media in the biochamber, and has it prevented maturing? I don't know. I mean, but say, oh, but if it's in there and it turns around, it should be okay. But there was definitely stagnant media on the bottom, and it's turning a lot easier now. I'll just show you. It's bloody noisy when I do it. Now that is a 110 litre an hour. It's probably too much. As you can see there, it's turning very nicely. Nothing. I did notice the corners as well weren't turning over, and you can probably see down there there is little or no media in those gaps now. I just turn it off. What I'll do is I'll get another Verity Speed switch. I've ordered one on Amazon for the biochamber, so I can turn it down and just have it bubbling over nicely. But it'll be interesting to see the levels. I was just reading online, one guy, he had the biochamber, and again he'd K1, but he felt he'd far too much K1 and he took out a load of it, expecting it to have a big impact on his readings, and he said it had no impact whatsoever. So I'll let you know that. But that's it. Hopefully when I talk to you again, I will have this seal and I will go to be putting it in. It's been too long, to be honest, and it's just a bit of a drag. You know, these things happen. But given, you know, it's in the season and the pond isn't as clear as it should be, I prefer if it was just sorted at this stage. I think if I don't hear from DVS during the week, I'm just going to bite the bullet and order from Quinny Coy. It'll be dearer, I'd say, because I'd be paying double VAT, but I'd rather just have it at this stage. So I'm just going to leave it at that. If you have any comments on the media I've taken out, you know, I can, obviously, if I have a major problem, I can put it back in, but as I say, I'm going by the book here in terms of what DVS say. The capacity of this biological filter is 150 litres. There's probably, I'd say, about 160 or so in there, but this is heavy media, you know, it's harder for it to move. So I think maybe if I 200 litres of K1 or Helix, I'd get away with it easier than I do with that larger stuff. Anyway, leave it at that. Thanks a lot. Talk to you again. Cheers.